The problem is there's too much we don't know. It's like opening a book and starting from the middle, or try to imagine what a jigsaw puzzle looks like when all you have is a few random pieces, right? And not even the helpful ones like corners or edges, just vague. The trick is you find two pieces that connect. Then at least you have a place to start.
Hello my dearest Fromvile and welcome to Geek Academy channel. My name is Igor. We are continuing to analyze from season 1 to the episode 6, and you can see that I'm already way more excited about this episode than about previous two. And I think I have some interesting points for you, some interesting theories and some food for your imagination, something for you to think about after this video. But before we begin, I just want to show you some amazing people that basically allow this channel to exist and make more videos and give me so much motivation to be better, to become better, to make better videos. So if you are enjoying my videos, you can also thank those people because they're the one who make it possible. So the episode begins with Bye Bye Nathan. We can see one of those stones here. So we've seen those stones many times and I'm pretty sure they are kind of important. We are just keeping them in mind right now. Anyway, we're moving forward, and Father Khatri's speech, I think, is one of the best examples of writing, because his speech to the people in church basically explains his motivation for saving Sarah. He's talking about chaos and faith. He's talking about when we are born to this world, we are presented by chaos. We don't understand what is that, what are those people. I was right now in very comfortable place inside of my mom's belly, and now I'm outside and there are people and I don't like it. But he's saying that as soon as you have faith, you understand that this chaos has a meaning, it has a plan for you, and it's not for you as a human being to understand it. You need to trust in God. And this is why he believes that whatever voices Sarah hears, after everything she did, it still can be part of this chaos that has a plan. And this is why he trusts in the plan, he trusts in chaos, and he saves Sarah. He's even quoting Proverbs 3:5-6 from King James Bible. He's saying, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he will make straight your path." Now, explanation for this passage is basically allowing God to be your guide begins with a commitment to trust. God cannot lead you where you will not follow. Okay, we must grow our desire for God's instruction and guidance. Now, Father Khatri thinks he lives in the Bible right now, in the 74th book. And if you read the Bible, there's a lot of sacrifice, there's a lot of bad things that supposedly good people are doing. So maybe whatever Sarah did was not that bad, at least in the eyes of Father Khatri, okay? Because if she is hearing those voices, this can be something divine in his opinion. And just a side note, how much do I love this TV show, huh? Just last episode we were talking about quantum mechanics, quantum physics, quantum theorems, and now we're speaking about Bible, we're speaking about the New Testament. Also in the last episode we were talking about the Old Testament, now it's New Testament. This show allows me to experience so much, to learn so many new things. I'm not a very religious person, I never even read the Bible from the beginning to an end. I am also not a physicist, but this show helps me to become better, because when you learn new things, you become better, and I'm learning so much while I'm trying to understand what this show is about. I'm already enjoying the process, and if this show eventually gonna be disappointing, you know, they're not gonna give us some interesting answers, I'm still not gonna be miserable, I'm still not gonna be angry, because as I just said, this whole process has been an adventure for me, and I hope for you too. Now we have a small foreshadowing here, we can see the flowers. This is basically our Virgin Mary is gonna use in order to attract one of the monster girls. And I can criticize a little bit, because just in my opinion, I think it would be way better if we would have seen this not on episode 6, but maybe on episode 3 or 4 or 2, whatever. Because when it happens in episode 6 and we have already the conclusion of this foreshadowing in episode 7, it feels a little bit rushed, it feels like it was something done in the moment. But if we would meet this guy, you know, the mustache virgin guy, we would meet him like in episode 3. Just, you know, him saying a couple of lines. We would see some flowers, you know, like Julie or Fatima, like basically, what are those flowers? It would be like a small riddle, not that important, but something to notice. And then in episode 7, the conclusion and the attack of the monsters on the colony house. in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, it would be way better from writing point of view. Now when Tabitha comes to church and she gives Father Khatri his notes, because he was writing Bible from the heart, and he probably gave those notes to Megan and her mom. We knew she was praying before the monsters killed her. They were probably pretty religious families, so maybe that way Father Khatri gave them some opportunity to read the Bible, because in this place you don't have a Bible, which is kind of weird, especially when we talk about the United States, which is a very religious country, and you have Bible in every motel, hotel, basically almost in every place. This is the most popular book in the world, so having a whole town without even one Bible, it is pretty weird. Makes you think that somebody or something actually got rid of those Bibles from this town. Anyway, we know that Father Khatri learned the Bible by heart, but he forgot the quote, "You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor," Exodus 20:16. And there are many more quotes and passages from both Old Testament and New Testament that are saying, don't lie, it's not a good thing. And we can see that Father Khatri, without even blinking, he is a professional. He could have been a poker player. He's like, no, I haven't seen Sarah since she ran to the woods. She was so fast. Oh my god, she was like raising dust. I wasn't even able to see her. She was like one of the characters from Looney Tunes. I basically have no idea how could she have escaped from me. So yeah, the way he lies feels really natural for him, which is kind of weird for the man of the claws. And another interesting thing here is basically when Tabitha comes back to home, Jim is trying to understand what the hell is going on with electricity in this place. Because there is no wire. Okay, not only there's no wire, the sockets and the plugs, everything doesn't supposed to work, but it works. So there is an electricity in this place. There is some kind of an energy source. Why is it an energy source and not something magical? Like, you know, when you just snap your fingers and there's a light, you know, there's a light, let it be light. Here you go, there's light. Because even in this episode, we're gonna see some flickering lights. And if there are some flickering lights, one of the most logical explanation for it is it's not enough energy for the whole place or for everything the energy source is doing here. Anyway, we're moving forward, we're gonna get back to this topic. I think maybe even after this episode, I'm not gonna go straight away to episode 7. I wanna make a video about how the electricity works in this place. I think I have some interesting ideas for you. Anyway, just a side note, Jade is awesome, one of my favorite characters. His monologue here about, you know, like, you, engineer guy, help me out. Do you wanna like start arguing about who killed who? I lost my friend who I knew from 4th grade. So let's get out of this place. Now Jade is probably someone you wouldn't want as your friend, because it's very tiresome to be with someone like that. But as a character on the screen, it's always enjoyable to see those kinda, you know, charismatic assholes. And Father Khatri tells to Sarah that there are a lot of books here, but no Bible. There's Robert Ludlum, the guy who wrote about Bourne. One of his latest books was about some spy that was trapped on an island. There were some experiments, he couldn't escape. I know it's probably a stretch. Probably there is no connection at all, but I thought it's another interesting point. There's also a lot of books about Judy Blume. She wrote young adult novels. She talked about some topics that during that time were kind of taboo, like what usually teenagers experience where they're going through puberty. So there's a lot of like popular literature, something that you're reading on the plane, something that you're reading for fun. But one of the most famous books in the world, the most popular book in the world, the Bible, is not here. Here we have this moment when Julie talks to Fatima and they're talking about the flowers and they're gonna make laundry, and just look at the drawing behind her. What is wrong with those people? You live in a place when there are monsters outside that gonna kill you, and you decide to decorate your place with drawings of freaking witches or whatever it is. This looks like the girl from The Ring, you know, the one that coming out of the TV to scare the shit out of you. Why would you want to live in this place like that? And we're moving forward. Tabitha here with Ethan. They're in the place when Mrs. Lou is keeping everything she doesn't need. Everything this place doesn't need, so basically like a storage room. And when we zoom into the pendant that she's wearing, it took me a lot of time trying to understand what it is. One of my friends who's also doing actually some videos about From, he thinks this is this pendant, okay? And they are kind of looking very similar. I'm gonna put them right now on the screen next to each other, especially if you look at the lower part. This is almost look identical, but it doesn't really make any sense to me because it's just some random pendant from some website that sells jewelry. Doesn't have any special meaning, doesn't have any history. This is basically something, according to the Facebook post, that was designed by just the group of followers. People basically gave their input and they designed this pendant. It's not exactly one-to-one as to what we see on Tabitha, and maybe just the actress bought it by herself, because I cannot see a TV show production go into this website and just, you know, oh, okay, we like this one for our actress or for our character. Let's just buy it for her. Once again, I'm a little bit lost here on clues. Maybe this is something different, but we have here a hand that is holding 3 flowers. It can be interpreted like maybe, you know, like a father, son, and a child. I don't know. This is once again not my interpretation. This is from one of my friends. I'm not gonna sign on it, but just something for you to think about. And when Boyd is going to find Christy, we see already clearly the TROY reference on ambulance. Doesn't look like a part of ambulance, even though the colors are pretty much the same. It looks like a graffiti, like something that was written probably already inside this place. And if you're asking once again ChatGPT, even though every time ChatGPT answers, you should take it with a grain of salt and you should double check, because this program still makes a lot of mistakes. But even when you just compare this graffiti to, for example, the album They Reminisce Over You, some hip-hop song from 1992, it looks very similar. Once again, if I'm asking ChatGPT, the only thing that can be somehow relevant to our show is the song or the return of Yeshua. Basically, once again, there's this religious acronym symbolizing the return of Jesus. The recall of youth, the rise of you, I don't know how, if it works at all. Okay, but once again, the graffiti to the album cover were kind of similar, and maybe I am completely off point here, but it was something that was done with purpose. Okay, once again, somebody in production said, see this ambulance, draw a TROY on it, because we have no idea why. But once again, I hope we're gonna get answers at some point. So as I told you, one of the most interesting things for me in this episode is the electricity. And when Boyd is looking for Christy, we can see that the lights are starting to flicker again. They are, you know, like turning off, turning on pretty fast. And they are actually kind of like almost responding to Boyd. Basically, whenever Boyd is next to them, this is where they start to flicker. Maybe it's just a coincidence, because once again, the other lights are not doing it. Once again, book 74, basically he's talking here about the Catholic Bible, because if you can see here, the only Bible that has 73 books is the Catholic one. And of course, it's not a big news for you that Father Khatri is a Catholic priest, okay, but not a Protestant, not an Eastern Orthodox, and not anything else, not Ethiopian Orthodox Bible, okay? We're talking about Catholic. I don't know if it's important or not, but it is once again some detail worth mentioning. Now, another interesting thing, of course, is the bracelet that Tabitha finds there in this place, in the storage room of Mrs. Liu, and we're gonna talk about it in the end of this video. And we can also see some flickering lights here at Tabitha's place, not only when we see Boyd. And this is where it gets very, very interesting for me, and I invite you to think with me here. Okay, so if there is a source of energy, of electricity, similar to, for example, what Nikola Tesla was imagining, you know, like without any wires, without any cords, basically some source that distributes electricity to any object that can receive it. Okay, so maybe this is the cave with monsters. This, you remember, in the end of the season, we're gonna see all of the wires are pre-cut and they are there. But once again, how does it work if it actually is not a wire? It's just a plastic cord. That's it. There's no wire inside of it. Okay, there's no connection to anything. Maybe it's the lighthouse that actually somehow creates energy, and this energy is being received by the house, and as soon as the lighthouse, for example, using some features that it has, I assume, the lights are starting to flicker. But it doesn't explain why, when Tabitha just disconnects the cord from the socket, the lights turn off. It can also be connected to an explanation that maybe all of it is just some kind of a child fantasy, or maybe a nightmare. Because if you're gonna ask a kid who's like 10 years old, 8 years old, how does electricity works, this is how he's gonna explain it. There's like a cord, you connect it to socket, and there's electricity, that's it. You disconnect it, no electricity. If we can take it even further, once again we can think about Krummenockle adventure and how it is connected to this place, so maybe there is also an explanation for that too. Once again, just keep it in mind. Anyway, moving forward, and we can see that Jade is seeing some vision and he's seeing some blood, and he's looking up and he's seeing some Civil War soldiers being disfigured. Now, I'm not an American, as you probably guessed it. I tried to research some history and try to understand whether it's North or the South according to their uniform. I wasn't able to do it. Their uniforms were pretty similar to my eyes, but if you lived in the US, you know the history way better than me. Please write me in the comments if you can actually see definitely that this is South or this is North. Another interesting thing here is that it kind of looks like the same massacre that Victor saw in episode 4, I think it was episode 4. They're disfigured pretty much the same. I know I hate the fact that after this TV show I can actually look at those images and be like, I've seen this somewhere, but you know, it kind of looks almost the same, and once again it connects to the whole idea that there is a cycle. Always two cars are coming, then there is this event, then there's a massacre, then there's like somebody who is Sarah running crazy, killing people. So there is a cycle that is repeating itself. We've seen it with Victor the Massacre, we're seeing here right now in the Civil War period, and we're gonna see it in the next episode. But episode 7 is not gonna be completely everybody dead, a lot of people are gonna get saved. But still, there is also season 3 and hopefully 4 and maybe even 5. Fingers crossed. And Jade is seeing the symbol again with the blood. Makes you think it's not a good symbol. If you see some symbol with blood, don't use the symbol. I don't know how you can use a symbol. Anyway, you walk around the street, you see symbol, you see blood, do 180 and leave, please, for me. And here we can see, according to the hat, this is basically a soldier from the Northern Army. Okay, we can see that he's trying to attack Jade. He's very angry. Now, one of the interesting thing for me here is that you rarely see people from the north, the northern part of the Civil War, being presented as somebody evil. Okay, logically, you know, they were the good guys during the Civil War, they were fighting against slavery. So presenting them as part of the evil force is not a usual practice by Hollywood. It doesn't mean anything, maybe it was done here, but it feels for me that this guy doesn't want to kill Jade because he just want to kill, and you know, like monsters, he want to torture. He is trying to eliminate a threat. And we know that the Christopher guy, who was also seeing those symbols during the period of Victor, when Victor was young, he at some point went insane. He was a nice guy, he was a funny guy, and then he wasn't, until he wasn't. And maybe someone like that also was during civil period. If there is a cycle, the roles need to repeat themselves too. So the role of Christopher was also played by someone during the Civil War period, and maybe this guy is trying to eliminate this threat. Anyway, we're moving forward, we can see again his bag or something like this. According to American Museum website that I checked, once again it's another symbol that it's a Northern Army, it's a Civil War period, it's somewhere between 1864 or something like this, 1865. Not an expert, just doing my best that I can. Anyway, we can see that Jade is being killed here. Like, if you watch this moment, we can see the blood is actually being spit from his intestines. But he doesn't seem very bothered by that. He keeps crawling and trying to escape from this soldier until he's being rescued by the bright light with Jim, who is like Galadriel trying to save him or something like this. Now this bright light, where can it come from? We spoke already a little bit about Lighthouse, okay, and I'm gonna just fast forward a little bit. In episode 10, when Boyd and Sarah, or episode 9, I don't remember, they're gonna see like also very bright light, and something gonna change, like their reality is gonna be changed. One moment they are being attacked by trees, something is happening, then there's bright light and they're in a different place. I don't know about you, but what I think about here is definitely lighthouse. And also in episode 10 and night, when Boyd and Sarah see in this light, there are also moments with flickering light and with the focus. Camera specifically focuses on those moments and they're like, please notice flickering lights. And if you're watching my videos, you already know what I think about it. If it happened twice, this is already a sign for a pattern. So if it happened twice, they show us flickering lights and a couple of minutes later they showed us this big bright light, I assume those two moments are connected. Now this conversation and everything Sarah tells here is very important, and I think we should listen to it together.
They said they wanted to help, that they'd been here a long time, and they'd been waiting for someone to come who would hear them, someone who could help them.
Help them do what?
Help them escape, help them go home. They said they were just like us.
So first of all, it's a they, okay? There are many of them, at least two. Those are powers who are being kept in this place. So once again, it's another theory that sounds pretty logical to me. This place is not trying to keep those people inside. This place is trying to keep inside one of those forces. Pretty evil force, you know, if it's trying to kill a little kid, if it's saying that everything's gonna be bad, and in order for everyone not to die, you just need to kill half of the people, this is usually not some good force, okay? And it wants to escape, and it's probably manipulating Sarah. We know already in season 2 they're gonna laugh at Boyd. Once again, not a very good behavior, not from somebody I would consider an angel or something like this, but there are forces here that are stuck and something keeps them inside. And they were waiting for someone like Sarah to talk to her. She's the only one who can hear them, okay? And she's having similar seizures that Ethan had. But Ethan doesn't hear the voices. He can see the boy in white, and Victor can see the boy in white. So once again, it's a conclusion, but not something I would sign on, that maybe the boy in white, this is the force that basically keeps the voices inside. This is the powers that doesn't allow them, whoever they are, to escape. Okay, and we've seen that the boy in white can be a little bit intimidating, but mostly he's kinda helping. And maybe he's also the one who's controlling the lighthouse, and he's the one who's controlling the music boxes, and he's the one who allowing people like Ethan to heal super fast, even a very serious injury. And this moment is also interesting for me because Sarah is actually experiencing a lot of pain and she's almost being controlled by those forces. So they not just only communicate with her, they can actually move her arms. She's gonna do it like later in this episode, and they are able to make her feel a very serious pain. I don't know if it's something they could have do from the beginning, or maybe every time Sarah does something that they want her to do, by that she gives them way more control over her own body. Anyway, once again, Jim is trying to turn on the radio. We've seen 16, I still have no idea if it has any meaning, and Jade is becoming obsessed here. Okay, if you are interested in a symbol, you draw it once and you're like, okay, let's analyze it. And he just keeps drawing and drawing and drawing. This is called obsession. And when Mrs. Liu comes and takes him also to the storage, they can see some kind of an old, I don't know, voice recorder, whatever it is. But if I would them, I would probably check if there is a cassette out there. Maybe there's something to listen to. Maybe somebody's there is like January 1974, day 1 of the experiment from blah blah blah. And Jade opens a yearbook from 72. Once again, I immediately tried to understand what yearbook it is. Couldn't understand anything that's written here. Maybe you can. I'm just gonna leave for you this image. Try to zoom it. Still don't really understand what is this. We, east, west, some kind of zeros. I have no idea. But it of course made me think once again about the yearbook that I already found from Jamestown High School in New York. This is 1970 yearbook. I actually registered at classmates website. I found their yearbook. I checked everything on it. You can see the cheerleaders. They're dressed the same, completely identical to the cheerleader, the monster cheerleader from, but it's not the same cover, not even close. Like their 72 year is completely different. If we're looking at the cover here, it's kind of gold-ish, and my subscribers helped me, they actually sent me this image, which you can kind of read that it's basically Canning West High School. Probably it looks like a Y there also, so it may be a yearbook, which is kind of logical. The main problem is that according to Google and ChatGPT, there is no Canning West High School. Maybe there is, maybe you know about one, so please feel free to write me in the comments, but right now I'm actually gonna treat it like it's some kind of a prop that was made specifically for this TV show. And if you're gonna look again at this scene, they never show us what Jade is looking at. And I kind of think he's gonna able to identify some faces in this yearbook. Maybe some of the monsters are there, especially the younger ones. I don't know how, I don't know why, but it does feel to me very, very important. And the way that the camera was filming it, even though we could have seen there's a lot of information in those yearbooks, it's not just empty pages. The camera is not behind Jade, we're just looking at his face, so they just don't want to show us what's in this book. So when Jim comes back home, we can see that Ethan is already like a couple of days after he was pierced through his leg, he's already carrying weight like a Schwarzenegger, like a little Schwarzenegger there. And we can see here some books. The Tantine, I found the book, couldn't find any connection, but when Father Khatri told us there is no Bible, we have some Bible stories at least. I don't know why, but I also found it interesting, you know, like there's a lot of Bible theme in this episode. The whole episode is called Book 74, and if the creators wanted to call this episode like that, they're basically saying to us, this is the main theme of this episode, this is the main idea we want you to think about. Okay, maybe this is just another story in the Bible, maybe just a new story in the Bible, because the 73 books in the Bible, even if you take like Old Testament or New Testament separately, the books inside those books are also being written sometimes in a very different period. So why not Book 74? As Father Khatri said, all of the players are still on the board. Humanity still exists. If you believe in God, God still exists. So maybe it's not over. There were never the end in the end of the Bible. Like, literally there is probably the end, but you know what I'm saying here. And I promised you we're gonna talk about Tabitha's bracelet. So this is the bracelet that she made for Jim when they just started dating. She made it from shoelaces of his father. This topic of fathers and sons kind of starting to repeat itself, and I kind of start noticing it. Okay, we have Boyd with his father, who he lost from Parkinson. We have here Jim and his connection to his father. You know, once again, when you write something like this, I made you a bracelet from your laces. Why not? Why father? Okay, and we have here the father that killed his son during the story that Father Khatri is gonna tell us in the next episode. So the whole father-sons kinda seems maybe important, doesn't matter yet, but once again something to keep in mind. And she's telling him that this is the bracelet they lost when Julie was born. So Julie is about 16, 17, 18. We remember that Tabitha said that she's underage, she cannot make this decision, so you know, weren't talking about alcohol, so she probably is 1760. So she was born somewhere in the early 2000s. So you can still explain it pretty simple, you know, like somebody in the hospital when Julie was born were like, yeah, wow, you know, like I found an amazing bracelet, I'm gonna be with this bracelet for all my life. And then he goes for a drive, he wants to tell everyone about this amazing bracelet he found until he sees a tree and some crows. This can be an explanation, but if you look at the bracelet that Victor's mom is wearing in season 2, it looks a lot like the same bracelet that Jim is holding, so there is a possibility that this is somehow the same bracelet. And if it is, there's gotta be some time travel there. And Father Khatri is checking his hiding spot, he's looking at the Cosmo chocolate. Okay, there is a theory about extraterrestrials, something like aliens. Hate this theory, I hope it never comes true. there is not even one normal clue that this is somehow connected to aliens, but you can see this chocolate isn't real, and there is a saying, they're out of this world, and you can see like some kind of like alien or whatever it is. Don't take it seriously. I hope it's not something serious, but once again I'm just pointing it out to you. And we're moving forward to the Virgin Mary. Okay, we have here Fatima, who is basically the Virgin Mary of this place. She's obviously not a virgin, but you know, she gets this miraculous pregnancy, okay? And Fatima is also the name of the Virgin Mary. And today we have the Virgin Mario. You can see that he's like, ooh, Luigi, let's go for a ride. I have a mustache and I haven't had sex in all my life. So I'm probably gonna experience with a monster. So yeah, maybe this guy was somehow influenced by the monsters. We know they can telepathically use their powers and they can influence those who are weak-minded, and this guy is obviously weak-minded. I hope it doesn't come off as a disrespect to the actor, just to the character. Okay, the character annoyed the shit out of me. And also, as I told you in my previous reviews, you have a guy here who has been living here for like a couple of decades, and he starts digging graves and he's saying everybody is like, yeah, I want to get prepared for this time. I want to be ready because everybody's gonna die. And you're like, not doing anything with it. Look at the guy with the mustache. Ask him like, when was the last time you got laid? Okay, because you live in a colony house and everybody gets laid here. Everybody, no exception. But we haven't seen you on any of our latest orgies. So you gotta tell me if you are working on something with one of the monster girls. Because if you are, dude, we're gonna have some serious conversation right now. This is just bugs me. Donna needs to have some way better security than she has right now. And in the end of the episode, the monster girl is basically telling him, when are you gonna let me in? I just wanna get in. And we're gonna see how he's gonna let her in the next episode, one of the most brutal we have ever seen. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you wanna support it, you can like, write, subscribe. Still, almost 90% of you watching my videos without subscribing, so maybe it's a good chance for you to do it right now. Hit that bell, and if you wanna support what I do here, the link to Patreon is in the pinned comment and in description also. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!